this real quick. Some people, man. Yeah, I want to chime in on this real quick. I need some of y'all to join me. You know, today is proof beyond a reasonable doubt that we can beat this thing. Dr. Pruden, who is, let me just say this, I used to be a security officer at St. Joe's, and I used to work in the ER from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. So I know Dr. Pruden personally. I used to work with him. I used to be a security officer at St. Joe's. And I saw that man save so many lives. When I first heard that he had contracted COVID-19, it was devastating, because here's a man that helped save so many lives, and that happened. So today, to hear that he was actually released from the hospital and sent home is amazing news. And I had to chime in, because there's so many people out there who are just focused on the deaths. And I understand at one point I was sharing information about the deaths too, only because I wanted people to understand the severity of not practicing the social distancing, and not, like when you see me out here doing these live streaming, there's nobody out here but me. I'm on this block, there's nobody standing here. You know what I mean? But that's why I was sharing a lot of the videos about the deaths, so that people would wake up and say, okay, we got to practice social distancing. But to hear that Dr. Pruden is, recovering, he went home today, is proof that we can beat this. It's not an ultimate death sentence. Has there been many, many deaths from it? Yes. We can't dismiss the people who have lost their lives to COVID. We can't dismiss them. We pray for their families. We pray for their loved ones. We pray for their co-workers, who've lost. I mean, I've lost 3 friends so far due to this. One lived in Patterson, one lived in New York, one lived down south. So I've dealt with it myself. I know how it feels to lose somebody to it, but this story today should be a glimmer of hope for the community. This story today should help us to get some more faith and believing that we can beat this as a community. If you're serious about keeping that social distancing, if you're serious about making sure that when you're out and around people. See, right now I'm just standing on my porch, no one's around. But if I go to a supermarket or I go to anywhere, I'm always with my mask and my gloves. Only reason why I'm standing right here like this now is because there's nobody around. I'm just standing on my porch. There's nobody here. But today is proof that you can beat that anybody can beat that. Let's continue to lift up everybody across this country who's dealing with it, who's going through, the issue of having to deal with this particular virus, which, based on what we've been reading and what we've been studying, it attacks the respiratory system, the lungs, the breathing system, the bronchial tissue, and so forth. So from what I've been reading and researching, this is a virus that attacks your ability to breathe. So if you have underlying conditions like asthma, diabetes, some people might wonder why diabetes. It's very simple. People with diabetes like myself, we tend to heal slower than a person who doesn't have diabetes. Not that we can't heal, it's just that when you have diabetes, you heal slower. So an infection or a virus like that would take you longer to heal from because you're diabetic, just like, like I am. And that would make it more detrimental, because the longer it's holding your system, the longer it's holding your system captive, the longer it's holding that respiratory system captive, if you're not careful, without the right help and without enough prayer and support, it could wipe you out. But Dr. Pruden beat it. Okay? He beat it. And just like he beat it, those who have recently been tested positive, or those who have been dealing or battling with it, because if you go online, there's so many people right now, from the who's who to the who's that are dealing with this particular situation, COVID-19. But it's not unbeatable. I put some numbers up yesterday. 15,230 Well, Dr. Pruden makes 15,231 people who have recovered from it and who are making progress to recovery. I don't understand how people, they just want to harp on the death. And, people were actually trying to challenge me. Oh, there's more deaths. Listen, we know that people have died from this. We know the severity of it. We're not dismissing anybody who lost their lives to it. It's a tragedy. It's a travesty. And we pray for their families and we pray for their loved ones, because I don't even know how it would be to experience losing a loved one to this particular, you understand, virus. However, we can't dismiss the people who recovered. We can't dismiss them either. Dr. Pruden is one of the people that recovered. And I know in time, he has to rest a little more and work to get his strength back. And I'm sure it may take a little while, but I'm really waiting to finally hear from him and hear about his journey. How what happened from the beginning to where he's at now and to where he's going to be in terms of the future. I really would love to hear his story about how he went from day to day, because if you're hospitalized for that, they don't allow visitors. They don't allow people to come up and visit you. Only people that are in the room are the doctors and nurses, and they're completely covered in hazmat. I don't know the other word for it, so I'm just going to say hazmat gear, the helmets and the clothes. So you don't have family and friends coming in there. You're basically there battling this thing alone. So I would love to hear his story about how he went from day to day to day dealing with this particular virus and how he was able to survive it. See, this is the stuff we need to talk about too. If we can get on social media and talk about how many people are dying, we can also get on here and talk about how many people are living, how many people are recovering, how many people have survived it. We should be able to get more joy out of hearing about people who contracted it, but they beat it and they survived. We should be more excited about hearing that than hearing about that people are dying. I mean, to hear that people are dying is morbid. And if you're into that, that's kind of crazy. I mean, hearing that somebody actually survived it and they got through it and they are alive now to tell the story is something that we all can rejoice now. Dr. Pruden is, I think the newspaper put it, it says a beacon of light. And sure enough it is. I saw the video. Somebody showed me the live video when they had the bagpipes and they had the crowd gathered around them. And for that moment, for that one brief moment, when you saw that going on, you could see that there's victory even in the storm. I don't care how big a storm is. If you hold on and you persevere long enough, you can beat any storm that comes against you. And Dr. Pruden proved that. He proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt, that no matter what people say, you can beat anything if you hold on, if you're strong enough. If your will to survive is stronger than your doubt or the doubt that people may try to give you, you can survive it. That's a fact. I'm live now. It's only fitting that a man who saved so many people's lives, that his life was spared and that he was able to go back home and rest. It's only fitting. It was the right thing. I was praying all the while, and I know everybody was praying that Dr. Pruden would come home. And not everybody that was praying for him commented on his page. There's a lot of people that were praying for him that didn't want people to know that they were praying for him, but they prayed for him. A lot of people did. Tons of people. Everybody who ever worked in St. Joe's, anybody who ever went through that emergency room should know who Dr. James Pruden is. Like I said, I worked there as a security officer for several years. I worked inside the ambulance entrance all the way at the end, and then I also worked in the guards booth when you come into the ER. Well, back then, the ER wasn't as far down as it is now. Back then, the ER was further up. So everything in the hospital's changed since I was there. But Dr. Pruden and Dr. Hodges, they were there together. They were very close friends there, and I was a security officer during that time. And I can tell you from first eye experience, I watched that man save so many lives. So, like I said, to hear today that he survived is a blessing. It's amazing news, and that's what we need to share. We need to get that out everywhere. Everybody needs to know that somebody who had COVID in our community beat the odds and survived and is now home resting and recuperating and getting ready to get back to life as normal again. Those are the stories that we got to push. Because let me tell you this. Once hopelessness sets in, we're in big trouble. We can't let hopelessness set in. We have to keep pushing stories like what happened today with Dr. Pruden to make sure that the hope in the people continues to stay there. We can't allow the people to become hopeless, because once hopelessness sets in, you're asking for a lot of trouble. So what happened with Dr. Pruden? Share that article. Share that link as much as you can. Put it all over social media, because that's what needs to be heard. That's what needs to be read. The video that, I don't know who did the live video of him coming out the hospital. Share that live video all over your pages. Go to that page, find it, share that video wildly, because that's what people need to see. People see that somebody who tested positive for it, went through a little physical issue because of it, and they still came out on the other end and they survived it, when there's so much talk and conversation about people who contracted and died from it. But we saw today that you can have it, beat it, and still survive. That needs to be broadcast everywhere. And we have to be the ones to do it. Just in case, I know they said there was some news there, but we need to be the ones to push this out and say, Dr. Pruden survived. We can survive as well. Now, that doesn't mean we all just go running down the street together now. We still need to adhere to the social distancing policy. We still need to adhere to that. The CDC has not lifted that particular guidance. We still need to follow that guideline of maintaining that 6-foot distance. Okay, we still need to do that. Until the coast is clear, we still need to make sure that we adhere to that. But let's not lose faith. Let's not lose faith and hope in knowing that we can beat it as a community. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Let's not lose faith in knowing that we can beat it. We still need to follow the guidelines, 6 feet apart. Make sure that if at all possible, either stay in your house or do like I do. I come out on my porch. And you guys know there's no gang or no congregation of people here. You know, I just come out, get some air, to look around, I go back in my house. So let's maintain staying home, keeping a safe distance of 6 feet. If you need to go shopping or anything like that, put on your mask, put on your gloves. We still need to adhere to those regulations for right now. We still need to, to adhere to those guidelines for right now. Just so until this thing really clears, we still need to do that. But at the same time, let's not lose our faith and our hope that you can beat this. Okay? And Dr. Pruden is proof of that. He's proof of that. And there's many other cases. I'm trying to remember. I was at my podiatrist's office this morning, and I forgot what channel it was. I don't know if it was Good Morning America or News 12. But there was a lady on there from Long Island who also had COVID, and she beat it. And there was this long conversation. It was on this morning. It was at 9 o'clock this morning. I saw it in my podiatrist's office, and she talked about the symptoms and how she felt and so forth, and how she went from, being tested positive, the journey that she went through, and she survived it. So let's make that clear. Are people dying from it? Yeah, we're not going to sit here and say nobody's dying from it, but at the same time, there's also people surviving it. We only looking at the one aspect, but let's also look at the people who survived it. And Dr. Pruden is one of the people who survived it, and that needs to be put out far and wide. All right. So that's all I had to say about that. God bless you, Dr. Pruden. I'm elated as a former, I can't say employee, because I didn't work directly under him, but I did work in the ER as a security officer. So as a former co-worker in the ER, as a former person responsible for maintaining safety in there and watching you save lives all those years, I am personally happy that you survived this storm, and that soon you'll be back to tell us all your story. God bless you, and everyone have a wonderful evening.